the backbone of America.
Welcome to the Backbone of America podcast, where we have discussions with entrepreneurs and influential individuals about business and the business environment. Today, we're here with Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is known as the crossover king. He played for my hometown, the Miami Heat, for over 6 years, 13 seasons in total, including the Indiana Pacers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, and the Denver Nuggets, and as mentioned, the Miami Heat. Recently, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2022. Let me tell you what my goal is today, Tim, here discussing with you. The goal's simple. It's to understand a professional player's options for entrepreneurship and business as a professional player during his career and post his career. So that's what I want to do. I'd like to learn what you have to offer, as far as that. So my first question for you is, when you were a player, what types of business opportunities did you receive that were otherwise not available, had you not been a player?
It's a million opportunities that present itself, and you have to know which one fits you. Coming from Chicago, with all the construction and all the real estate and rebuilding homes, refurbishing homes, and building homes. That's what has been going on since before I was born, and people are still into it. I'm into it with my brother, and and you get into looking at how lucrative car washes are. You start looking at lucrative how what you can do to help the younger generation understand what they need to do to be successful in this life. So as you playing, that's what you start seeing right from the get-go. I mean, like, as soon as you start playing the first game, when you get drafted, you see all these opportunities, but you got to really, and you hear about people missing out on opportunities, and you see people that don't do well without the opportunities. So you have to really, you have to do your research and understand, how you can stay profitable and not, you're going to lose sometimes, that's just all about business. You're going to lose here, you're going to lose there. But the thing is not to lose, 90% of the time. You want to be like 90-10, in that instance of winning. So it's a lot of things that comes about.
Understood. Now, are there any opportunities that you were presented that you passed on that you regret today?
Yeah, I passed on when I was still playing, and I passed on opportunity of plastic when they said recycling was going to be big, and recycling and plastic and making stuff out of plastic, and everything that you do is out of making stuff that getting away from steel, getting away from stuff like that. So I missed it.
Sustainable, I guess, stuff.
Right. You're right. I missed on the opportunity on that, and a guy found another investor, and they been profitable ever since. That was like in 2000.
Understood. What about, here's my next question. Miami being a celebrity city and all, you get to rub shoulders with some of the big movers and shakers. Are there opportunities that individuals that are business savvy can take advantage of? I mean, did you see some of your buddies in the NBA that were just kind of, they had a knack for choosing the right ones or being involved in a lot of things?
Well, we had a guy on our team, Jamal Mashburn. We knew he owned a couple of dealerships, and he was dibble dabbing with a couple of other things. But he kept it close to the vest, which you got to, because people start trying to get into your mind and take your vision away, and some people, as it may be hating on you and don't want you to be successful. But he is type of guy that kept it to the vest. And I was surprised when he opened up about 5 years ago about what he's doing, how he's doing it, and what he and how he's been so successful at doing it. But we knew that he had a couple of dealerships, and we knew that he was going to be up and coming. But he kept it to himself, and he's very successful, and we very happy for him. And he talks about it. And when you hear him talk about it, back in high school, he's looking at Wall Street people. He's looking at working people every day going to school on an L and the bus. And he was just looking at them and was like, man, if I could pick their brain, I can see what I want to do. He picked their brain, and he's very successful at what he does. He has car dealerships, he has hotels, he has food places. So he's very successful.
Yeah, I've noticed that restaurants are kind of big with a lot of players. I don't know if they invest capital or they just like to put their name on it. There's a famous restaurant here with Dan Marino put it on. It was in what was it, at Sunset Place. It didn't last very long, and I don't know why, but there's a fame to any athlete that puts their name on a restaurant. It doesn't last very long. Is that what you've seen? Maybe some of your friends that have invested in restaurants, that it's been a very risky.
Well, I know it made a bunch of money because I went to it quite a few times. It was called Marinos,
Yeah.
and it was at Sunset Place, and he had a couple out in Sunrise and all out there out north. And I don't know if he still has it, but I know that I don't think he put any capital into it. He just used his name. He made a big profit off of it, and but it was good. It was good food. I've been to, like I said, I've been to a couple of his, and it was good food. Just like the coach there, Shula's. Shula's was across the country.
Steakhouse.
Chicago, Shula Steakhouse, Chicago, Orlando, New York, LA. So he was very successful with Shula's.
Yeah. Well, look, if these kind of business seem like if you have the right manager, they make money, and if the players are not putting any capital and you're just licensing your name, or you have like some kind of a media deal, where you just have to show up and promote it, then I guess it always makes sense. The problem is that every time one of those businesses fails, it kind of takes a hit on your name. I mean, who's well known for that? Shaq, for example, he'll put his name on a lot of stuff. Most have done very well. I mean, I can't say that he's I mean, I think most businesses have been mature businesses and they've used him like kind of to license his name. Some haven't done as well, and I think he's done over like 25 different companies. But anyways, I thought I'd bring that up. Let me move on. um which NBA player has done incredibly well in business post their career? I mean, there's the one I mentioned, Shaq. Michael Jordan's another one, he with that N1.
Yeah.
But those are the ones everyone knows. Which kinds of deals have players made that are maybe not so they stand out, too much? They're just more like you mentioned, these plain businesses that are maybe car dealerships or car washes, things that are just normal. There's not a lot of spotlight on it.
Well, like I said, a lot of guys keep it to their vest and really don't say nothing and really don't say anything about their success too. And Jamal, I know about Eddie Jones, Alonzo Mourning,
Right.
uh, who else is it? Chauncey Billups. It's a bunch of guys out here that are successful and that's doing um a lot of things that's great and great for their family. I will say I know about 5 or 6 ex-ball players in their communities that they built a gym, and they doing stuff with youth, and they into AAU basketball, AAU soccer, tennis, golf, whatever it is. But they have a facility that help youth. out, and which
Like
is a
training and coaching.
training and coaching and mentoring, mentoring and helping these kids understand, sports ain't what it all is. I mean, you got to have something to fall back on. Going to school, get your education. That's something really big to fall back on, because you could be a coach, you could be a general manager, you could be athletic director. Getting your degree is really big. So when you go, and I know these guys, they have me come talk to the kids, and I talk to them. I make sure that they understand you got to go to school, get your education. But but it's hard to be a professional athlete. You got to have the right mindset. You got to have the right people behind you. You got to have the right work ethic. You got to understand what it takes to be that special person. And it takes a lot. And it takes a lot of your time. It's going to be a lot of ups. It's going to be a lot of downs. It's going to be a lot of frustration. But you got to learn from it and be patient. And I always tell kids, be patient. Nothing is going to happen right away. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year. These kids are in 8th grade. These kids in high school. You're not going to get an NBA job after your sophomore year in high school. You're not going to get an NFL job after your sophomore year of high school. You got to go 4 years of high school, and that's what it is. You got to understand that. You got to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, and be patient, and to understand that. And the people that understand that, the kids that understand that, they they fortunate.
They do well, yeah. Well, I mean, the odds are against you, so you got to have a backup plan. There's no doubt about that. But it is everyone's dream, and for the
Well,
people that make it,
yeah,
it
I'm gonna
kind
tell you
of
this. Odds
you
are
make it.
odds are against you in life. Period.
Yeah, yeah, I
but
agree. But I
but
mean,
if
the odds. I mean, look, if you get a degree and especially a degree that pays well, you will, in essence, do well.
right,
But people that try to become a professional athlete, I mean, the odds are there for every one position that exists out there, there's probably 10,000 people trying out for it.
yes,
And there's no doubt that all the players have dedication and they have discipline. But my question was, does that transfer on into their finances post their career? Or is the average guy kind of struggling after? There's this I guess what I mostly have heard of is that a lot of professional sports players, not in the NBA, but maybe in football or in other sports, where they make a lot of money, they spend a lot of money, and then they generally don't have a whole lot to fall back on. I don't know if that's your experience, or if you just kind of like, no, that's not what I've seen, from my buddies.
yeah. No, that's not my experience. One guy, Antoine Walker, and everybody knows his story, and he's very courageous about going to speak about it. And I'm happy for him to come out here and teach the kids, and teach these young people, what to not do, and don't fall into what he fell into. So I commend him all the time when I see him. And every professional, uh, like the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, they have a rookie seminar. And you go to the rookie seminar, and they teach you about finances. They teach you about how to spend your money. They teach you about taxes, and how much is getting taken out each city, each state, when you go to this state and play. So I know that they have that, but the rookies got to adhere to it. They got
Yeah,
to adhere to it, and if you don't adhere to it, then you're not going to be successful at the basketball.
yeah. Let me ask you regarding tax strategy. Um, Is there any method that that it's out of the ordinary that somebody, I mean, you're a W-2, correct? Working for the NBA. So they tax you on everything as a standard income.
Yeah.
You know of any
Yeah.
strategies to reduce your tax bill?
Well, when you out, they give you a check. or deposit. So say if I'm doing something for $10,000, it's the whole $10,000. They don't take nothing out. It's same way with Nike.
Oh, so
Nike,
so you're responsible for your own tax bill at the
right,
end.
right. Like
Understood.
Nike,
Okay, so
if
you're a
you
contractor. You're like a 1099.
right, right, right. So like Nike, if you or a gym shoe company, if you get these residuals uh from your shoe,
Yeah,
it could be a
royalties.
million, your royalties. It could be $1 million. It's going, they're going to send you a check for $1 million. You are responsible for the taxes on that $1 million. So you have to have
Understood.
a good, you have to have a good accountant. You have to have a good people behind you that know how to you know get you some good tax
Yeah.
breaks.
Now, was everyone responsible for their own tax bill? Like, I mean, did you guys have like a bank that you work with or an accounting firm that said, we work with ball players? I've seen a lot of companies that focus on that. They just say, we only cater to professional athletes and we do their taxes, we manage their properties, we manage their investments.
Yeah.
So was that something that was provided to you, or were you just, you got to find your own?
I kind of found my own. My agent Henry Thomas, he helped me, and we found the guy out of Washington D.C. Then he retired. Then I had to find another person. I found somebody from Chicago. So yeah, it's you have to find your own kind of, but it's kind of a trust thing too. As a rookie, you don't know who to trust. That's why you got parents. Parents try to set this up for you or that up for you, and some of them don't know. So it's hard to trust
Yeah.
people because it's a lot of people out here that's trying to really steal everything you got. And you have to have, people, like I said, behind you, coming out of high school, coming out of college, that knows this type of stuff, and that will help you to make the decisions that you need to make, the correct decision, so you won't be losing money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, these individuals coming out of college probably have, they've never seen that kind of money, and maybe their parents are in the same position. So I mean, what I would do is you looking at referrals from other players, to see that have been in the game for 10 years, to say, who are you guys working with, and can they be trusted. But I understand.
Yeah,
Uh,
back then we had guys, veterans, that was uh 13, 14-year veterans that you could talk to, and they'll steer you in the right direction. And I think that's what the NBA, a lot of NBA teams are missing, is veterans that been in the league for at least 14 years, 13 years, that know the way, and can steer you in that right direction. You know, I, I was fortunate to have Rod Higgins and Terry Tego, and you know all those guys, man. It was just I was just put in the right situation at the right time with the Golden State Warriors.
I wrote down here partnerships, commentating, broadcasting, podcast, coaching, speaking engagements. But I mean, is this what percent of athletes actually get into one of these things that are for the NBA, or for what's it called, for entertainment?
Right.
Um, do they? What percentage of these individuals go into something of the entertainment, or they get out of this and they become attorneys, or they become they own a car wash? What would you say?
I know some guys that are doctors, that are lawyers, that are accountants, that have their own business after basketball. And they come to different events, and they come, give you their card and stuff like that, and they have a successful business. Um,
Yeah.
when you want to get into entertainment, it's all about marketing. It's all about marketing yourself, and how many interviews that you do, or how many games that you do, or do you know what you're talking about with the collective bargaining agreement? Do you know what you're talking about the game when you look at commentating the game? So I mean, you just got to have a strong market team behind you, but you also have to have, you know, yourself have to do the work too. Like Emmitt Smith, he's very, very, very successful. He got a construction company. He does a lot of construction around the Dallas area. He just opened up a nice restaurant I see in Las Vegas. So if you have the right marketing people, and they set you up with different people that's in business, and you are willing to talk to them and go golfing with them and smooth with them, they can help you out a lot.
Your son's now a professional player. What team is he playing for?
He played for the Detroit Pistons now.
Nice. What advice do you have for him? I mean, I imagine, looking back, you mentioned you missed some opportunities. What would
Yeah.
you tell him to do?
He has a good people behind him. He has a good team behind him. He does a lot of great stuff in Miami, with real estate, building homes, um, buying property. Um, and he's into that, and he's into he likes to buy and sell. That's what he likes to do. He likes to buy a company.
Mhm.
I could see him like buying a company, getting it up to par, and then selling it. That's what he's into. And we talk about it all the time. And he asks me questions about different stuff. And I tell him, and we just have great conversations about that. But he's a really, really good entrepreneur at and he still can play too. He probably got another 4 or 5 years left in him. So
Okay, so he's doing both right now. But what's his role in the company? I mean, obviously, I don't think he's operating it, right? He's more of an
no, he's
investor.
not operating it, but he has people that operate his company, or what they do and how they do it. He's very successful, man. He's very successful. His people that I be talking to all the time, they like, man, Tim be on it. He's on the ball. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he sees, how he see it. He got a great eye for different things. And so like I said, when we talk, about houses, about inside my house, inside this house, this need to get done. That y'all, they shouldn't have done that. We go to different houses, or we look at different, it's just stuff that I pick his brain, he pick my brain, and it's just a great situation where I could see him blossoming as a businessman.
Yeah. Do you partner up with him on these investments or no?
No, no, no. Just all him. I got my own stuff going on in Chicago, and if one day we gonna do something real big. We working on some stuff now that I don't want to
Yeah.
say.
And I noticed that you recently left Miami, right? Well, not recently, but I feel like most people are on the opposite track. They're moving down from Chicago to Miami. Big trend. What made you get out of Miami?
Well, first of all, I left Miami to be with Stan Van Gundy with the Detroit Pistons, back in 2014, 13, 14. And then we got let go 17, 18, 2018. And I found me a nice home here in Michigan. And I just stayed here in Michigan. It's 4 hours away from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I'm used to the cold. It doesn't bother me. The snow doesn't bother me. But Miami is just too crowded.
Oh, it's today for
it's
sure.
it, you know it,
You're a Miami local, right? You grew up here or no?
no, I didn't grow up. I grew up in Chicago.
Oh,
I'm
I
from
didn't know that.
Chicago. Yeah, I'm from Chicago. Grew up, raised, born and raised south side of Chicago. So back in like 96 to 2001, it was cool. You could zip here, zip there. Now it's taking you an hour to get here. And that's like,
Yeah.
we used to get there in 20 minutes. Now it's taking you an hour to get here.
Yeah.
You go down US 1, that's too crowded. You go to back ways down Coconut Grove, that's crowded. If I come out north, way out there, the freeways I pack. So yeah, it's just a little bit oversaturated to me now.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, Miami is not much different than Chicago, honestly. They had a downturn in the recession,
Yeah.
but from what I hear, there's a lot of things going on out there right now with AI and data centers. What's the general feel for the city? Is it kind of is it optimistic? Is it pessimistic? How you see it?
Oh, it's very optimistic. It's a bunch of things going on. A red line is about to go all the way to my high school. They about to build a red line that goes all the way by my high school. And they didn't have that, never had that. So it's going to be a lot of construction, but it's a lot of businesses are going on out there that they are building up, strip malls, housing, uh, you know, whatever you named, it's just building up. But it, the thing is, Chicago is not going to get overly populated because that's the way it is. That's the way we are. If you're gonna move to Chicago, you're gonna move on the north side. You're gonna move out on the outskirts and come into downtown. That's where all the traffic is at, coming into downtown or leaving downtown at a certain time. So we have certain times where we get around, and then once that, early in the morning, you gotta know how to get around. You gotta know which way to go, what time to go. Um, but it's still traffic here and there. It's not like Miami traffic all the time. Like I go somewhere at 11, 12, 1, and it's traffic all of the time. In
Yeah, I remember.
Chicago or even here in Michigan, there's not that traffic at 11 o'clock. People are at work. People are
Right.
doing something at doing something profitable at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember going to Miami Beach at about midnight, 1 in the morning, and there's traffic to get to Miami Beach at 1 in the morning.
Yeah,
I realized, wow, this city is big and busy, but
all the
that's what
time.
makes it, what bothers one person is what makes it great for another. So I guess each one has their own thing.
I'm I'm not a traffic person. I dislike traffic.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, bumper. Nobody likes bumper to bumper. But unfortunately, if you want to have like a nightlife and you want restaurants and a lot of things going on, unfortunately, that's what makes people want to come.
Oh, no question.
And
In the weather.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, Let me ask you something. So with social media today, something that wasn't around in your time, when you were a professional sports player,
Very happy about
today's,
that.
yeah. So
Very
today's,
happy
for
that
example,
I'm very happy that we didn't have social media.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of bad things that have come from it, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with you. That there's been a lot of good stuff. The world's become a lot smaller, but at the same time, we've also grown far apart. Because of it. People spending way too much time on social media, and in my opinion, there needs to be some control. But I'll leave that to everybody's parents, to decide. That's I guess that's a family issue, something they have to do. But I was going to mention in today's, America First climate, athletes seem to be more than sports stars. I think they're ambassadors, and now there's this trend for American exceptionalism, that America is just very good at what they do because we're hardworking individuals. I mean, do you think it's true? There's no doubt, for example, like, there's countries that mean nothing to nobody, but because of an individual like Messi, in soccer, or Usain Bolt making, putting Jamaica on the map, is very important. Now, America, you don't have to put on the map. Everybody knows where it's at. But there's these individuals that actually, now are becoming worldwide sports stars, and they're kind of ambassadors. What do you think about that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a great thing. I think it's an absolute fabulous thing that they are ambassadors of their country. Like Messi, he's from a country that people like, people heard of, but until you hear what he has to say, and till he goes around and shows his country to everybody across the world, then you be like, oh man, I need to go visit there. But before, you didn't say that. You didn't say I'm going to visit where Messi from. So now I think it's great. I think it's good. I think they do a great job of social media, and how they use it to their to their their liking, and to everybody else's liking. But social media is just is it's a lot of horrible things. It's a lot of horrible people on there that takes advantage of kids, takes advantage of people. And if you're not strong enough, you're gonna take advantage of, get advantage of. So yeah, I say it's good and it's bad.
Yeah, that's the dark side of social media, absolutely. And there's this trend now that's going on that, men just are feeling lonely, and then they get into these traps, with a bunch of women, and they think that, everyone's rich, and then they get depressed, but yeah, there's a lot of smokes and screens, I think. A lot of people are not what they seem. On social media, they're one person, and then in real life, you realize that they're not that person.
That's pure.
Yeah.
I say, I grew up with not fearing peer pressure. I grew up doing my own thing, knowing what was right, knowing what was wrong, knowing my limits, knowing what lane I should be in. And that comes from your parents. That comes from listening to your parents. That comes from listening to older people that has been through that experience that you
Yeah.
might go through. So, and they make you understand, hey, don't fall into that trap. And I tell young kids all the time, no matter, you know, how old you think somebody is, they have a story to tell you that maybe you should listen to, and just listen to them. If it's 5 minutes or if it's 15 minutes, just listen to them, because that just might save your life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a biblical term that's it says in the multitude of counsel there's wisdom. I use that all the time. Anytime I'm making an investment, I want to get different perspectives of what people think, and it's just very good practice for anything in life, but in business specifically, I use it a lot.
That's everybody. You got to pray on it. You got to talk to people. You got to
Yeah,
make sure you understand that if you get into this, what it is, if it's gonna help you or if it's not gonna help you. Because like I said, you sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but you have to really, really, really understand if you lost, why this happened. So that won't happen next time. So that's how I feel. You just gotta be patient, think about it, research, talk to different people. Have you heard of this or what you think about that? And just pick people brains and then go from there and then make your own assumption. Pros outweigh the cons.
agreed. What are you working on these days? I mean, are you on cruise control, or you excited about something that's going on right now?
Well, I have a book coming out in October, from the streets to Chicago to basketball royalty. Coming out in October, November, Skyhorse Books, and it's pre-sale now on Amazon right now. So yeah, it talks about my career and the struggles I had to go through to get to where I am today. And a lot of people say, man, you need to write a book, because what you been through, people need to hear it, and people need to understand it or read it, and they need to understand that they could beat that odds. They could beat peer pressure. Peer, like I said,
Yeah.
I was around peer pressure every day, growing up with gangs, growing up with drugs, growing up with people that want to rob people that want to do this, people that want to do that, and I just knew that wasn't me. And I said,
Yeah.
no, I just stayed away from all that. If I had to stay in the house, I'm a nerd. I stay in the house. If I go play, and I listen to my parents. Like I said, my parents say, come home, come right home after this, come da, da, da. Don't be straying away, because that's when you get in trouble. Temptation, temptation, don't be afraid to say no.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people be like, all right, I'd go. Next thing you know, you end up getting shot, end up getting killed, you end up going to jail, you're in the wrong situation at the wrong time, at the wrong place, at the wrong time. So yeah, man, I mean, you gotta know you, and what you can deal with and what you can't deal with. If you can't go, like, yo, man, we going to McDonald's. I don't have enough, man. I can't eat McDonald's today. You know, it's only this. I don't have enough. Y'all go here
Yeah,
and check down when y'all come back. That's the way it is, because if you don't, then you're gonna look at them eating, then you're gonna want some of their food, then you're gonna want, go get this and do that. But nah, just don't even go with it. Go home.
understood. Now, this book thing's pretty cool, actually. Is this your first one?
Yes.
And what is it? Is it a biography or no?
Um, it's my story. It could be a biography. You could call it that. It's my story on how I grew up, and I guess so. You can say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So I don't know anything about that. Tell me about the business in writing books, for example. What's the arrangement as far as, or is there a royalty? Do you get, what's your involvement in it? Like, just give me some summary of what this is all about.
The truthful thing about writing books, unless you writing a novel, unless you writing something like Lords of the Rings,
Yeah.
that's a novel that people keep up with. This probably one, maybe a two-time thing. I'm thinking about I'm writing a book on fatherhood too. But it's not about, to me, I don't think I'm gonna make, 2, 3, 4, $5 million off of it. Whatever I make is good. But I just want to get my story out there to kids that need to hear about growing up, understanding if you need to talk to somebody, you could talk to somebody, knowing who to trust, knowing who not to trust, working on your game. People always doubting you, and understand that you want to prove to them that they're wrong. But it's like I said, it's patience. It just can't come overnight. And it took a lot of patience. It took a lot of listening. It took a lot of working on and off the basketball court, to get my game together. And so when I went out there and I played, I already had confidence to play against you. And just knowing who you are, and what you can do as a person. That's what my book is about. And
I got it.
kids and parents need to read it. And it talks about me being a parent to an NBA kid, and I was an NBA kid, and how my approach was to it. And I had the wrong approach, before. And I had to check myself. And once I checked myself and understood what I need to do, and understood what let him go, then it was good for him.
That's cool. So besides this book, anything else that you got going on?
I'm
Mentioned car
involved with
washes. What's your involvement in that? You're not doing these new car washes that are self-serve, right? I think it's a great idea, honestly. They brought the cost down. I think they're more economical, like on using energy, not dollar wise, but you use less supplies. I mean, people are washing their cars a lot more, but I think it's revolutionized the whole car wash game, to just have a machine wash it, and then you do your own self-service very conveniently. They popped up everywhere here in Miami. I don't know if you've seen a lot of them in Chicago.
Yeah, they in Chicago, Miami, Michigan. Yeah, you get out, you vacuum your own car, you do your own stuff, then you go through the machine if you want to dry it off. Or if they got some people out there that's drying it off, if you want to give them, I always give them a nice tip, because they don't have to dry off your car. So I give them a nice tip for drying off my car. Then go home, and I'm not that far away, and I come home and I really, get into the nicks and crannies of the car, and drying it off. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, I mean, car washes are lucrative. But you gotta have the right one. You gotta have it in the right neighborhood. You gotta have the right, how to get up in there, and dynamics and all that type of stuff. Like I said, involved in real estate in Chicago. I'm involved in I'm involved with a company called Urban Radio. We have radio in the Midwest, and then like Toledo. We got a couple, one in Toledo, Muscle Souls, one in Alabama. So it's an urban radio station that's in we got 6 or 7 of them that's in different places. Um Watch company Banneker Watches, Wood Watches. That if you go to Banneker watches.com, BANNEKER watches.com, we sell
did you say
one watches.
wood watches?
Yeah, wood watches, like wood face watches, or different type of designs. You just gotta go to the website and check it out. It's real cool. So I'm involved in various different type of stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, it's quite diverse, from wood watches to car washes to being in the radio stations. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yes.
What I've seen in business, when you find the right individual to manage it, if you got the
Oh
right
yeah, man.
guy, that's 80% of the work, or of the
No question.
process.
No question. You absolutely right. Yeah, that's 80% of the work. You got to have the right person. Um, it's you just have to be confident and trust that person, that's the right person to manage your business.
Understood. Well, listen, I got one last question for you. One of my guys wanted me to ask you this. I put here, I'm going to give you a couple names or words and you give me the first thing that comes to mind. Number one, social media.
Don't like it.
Okay. Pat Riley.
Love him. Great person.
Yeah. The crossover.
The best.
The Hardaway family.
Oh man, words cannot describe that. The Hardaway family, how close we are.
Understood. The Miami Heat.
Miami Heat family.
Yeah. Crypto and NFTs.
Crypto, don't understand it. MFTs, getting to understand it.
Okay. Donald Trump.
He's a very confident person.
Yeah, that's true. China.
I like going over there. A different culture. I like going over there.
LeBron James.
Arguably one of the best players that ever played in the NBA.
Absolutely. And finally, private equity.
Goldman Sachs.
Understood. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate you joining the Backbone of America. We got a pretty good take on what you think. Thank you for joining.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Made in America.